I was in Los Angeles training the son of a billionaire. This 17-year-old boy had been training with me for some time. We were in the ring doing mitt work and I was holding the mitts. We were moving around and he could punch really hard. Bah, bah. And out of the corner of my eye, I seen someone walk into the gym. And I wasn't paying any attention to that person though, because, you know, when I'm training someone, I'm just focused on the person in front of me. And then the person who walked into the ring went and was leaning on the ropes, watching us while we were doing the mitt work. And then at the end of the round, the bell went and I turned around and I seen it was Sugar Ray Leonard, one of the greatest fighters of all time. And the boy I was training went up and went, "Hey Ray," and gave him a fist pump. And Ray went, "Hey, I've just come to watch you do some boxing." He said, "Oh, that's great. Nice to see you." And I didn't even know that this boy knew Ray Leonard. And he said, "This is Tony, my coach." And he went, "Hey Tony, nice to meet you." I took my mitt off. I shook his hand. I said, "It's an honor to meet you, Ray. You're an absolute legend." But by this time, the bell went again. And the boy was ready, and I had my mitts on. We're going again, working on the mitts. But now I'm nervous. I've got bloody Sugar Ray Leonard watching me doing mitt work. And he was taking a proper close look. Anyway, at the end of the training session, I was speaking to him. And he said, "I'm very interested and fascinated in the mitt work." And he told me when he was fighting, he didn't do mitts. All he was working on was the heavy bag and doing his sparring as well. So the moral of this story is you might have seen lots of people doing all this fancy mitt work BS stuff on social media and think,
"Well, I need to do that stuff if I want to get better at boxing."
And you don't. You've just got to be hitting this correctly, which I'm going to tell you about on this video. Anyway, I became friends with Sugar Ray Leonard. I even did a live training session with him where I trained him online during COVID. But that's for another video. As you can see on this video, I've stacked this full of information that you can see across the bottom of the screen. These are different topics that I talk about the heavy bag and show you different things that you can work on that will help you the next time you're in the gym. But before we get into the education stuff, I just want to tell you why this is so good and also why this can be so bad as well. The heavy bag is a great tool to help you improve your technique. When you're doing this correctly and consistently, you can really become a good boxer from just doing this, even without any sparring or even without any coaches as well. When you're focusing on the good form all of the time, it will really help you develop into a good boxer. A couple more things that this is great for as well is it helps improve your cardio and endurance. I often get asked on social media, what is the best way to increase my stamina, to get better and last longer in boxing? And my answer is always the same. It is by doing boxing, by hitting the heavy bag. And as you can see, this video has actually got a workout section where at the end, I'm going to give you a workout that you can do that will help improve your stamina. So when you get to that point, write that down. I'm sure you're going to love it. And other than having great form, improving your cardio and your endurance, also hitting this thing can really help with your mental toughness, especially if you haven't got anyone there pushing you and you've got to push yourself, because it can get repetitive, it can get boring, and it can be bloody hard work. So it'll really help with your mental toughness. Now let's talk about the bad things about the heavy bag. If you're doing this incorrectly, this is the fastest way for you to pick up and develop bad habits. If every time you're throwing a jab, like you're bringing it down here in a 1-2 and you're bringing your hands down here, this is going to develop into bad habits. Even if you're not planning on being a fighter, you don't want to look like that. Instead, you want to be working on good form, like I said. And because it's not hitting us back, this is why we do these stupid things on the heavy bag. Now, another bad thing is if you're doing this incorrectly and you're not hitting it with the right part of your hand, there's a good chance you could get injured from hitting the heavy bag, especially when the bag is swinging. And I see a lot of beginners that try and punch it when they come back and it's big like this, and that's when they'll sprain the wrist and hurt the hand. So that's definitely a bad thing as well. And the next bad thing, I'm going to call it a bad thing, even though I've just said it'll help you. And the reason why I'm not a huge fan, now I've retired from boxing, of doing 6 3-minute rounds on the heavy bag is it's bloody boring for me. You know, it's not hitting us back. But that being said, I've been hitting one of these things for nearly 30 years now, since I was 10 years old. So yeah, it is a bit boring for me. Okay, so let's talk about how do you hit the heavy bag. Every time you hit a heavy bag, you want to have hand wraps on and you want to have gloves on. You might have seen at the beginning of the video, I haven't got my hand wraps on right now. So yeah, I apologize for that. But I'm not going to be hitting the bag hard. This is an educational video. So do what I say, not what I do. Now, range on a bag is very important. Example, if I stand here and throw the jab, I'm out of range. Even though you can see I'm hitting it, I've got to lean over to land that punch because I'm out of range. Then on the other side, if I'm here, I'm hit it like this. Now, I'm too close to the bag and I can't fully extend my punches. So the way you find that perfect range is you don't want to be here where my fully extended arm, I'm just touching the bag. I want to be a little bit closer than that. So my punches can punch through the bag. So if I freeze here, you can see it's not fully straightened. Here, it's not fully straightened. But when I do punch the bag, I will fully straighten my arm, and that will get the power into the punch as well. Fully extended, again with my jab. Fully extended because I'm punching through the target. So starting off with throwing the punches, a couple of things that I want you to think about when you are throwing the punches. No matter what punch I'm throwing, I always want to have the non-punching hand by the face. So if I'm punching with my straight left, look where my right is. Often what I see with beginners, they'll be focusing so much on this straight left. This will come down here, and we call this fire in the bow and arrow, because I see it so often. You need to have this glued by the face. And that goes the same with if I'm throwing my cross. My left hand's up by the face. If I'm throwing the hook, whatever punch I'm throwing, the opposite hand wants to stay up by the face at all times. Now, the next thing about when you're hitting the heavy bag, the mistake I see beginners doing all the time, is this. Holding your breath. Now, I get it. We want to punch hard. I get it. It's natural if you want to really push and do something as fast, as hard as you can. It's natural for us to hold our breaths. But when you hold your breath when you're throwing the punch, not only are you going to get tired faster and your punch won't be as fast and as explosive as you want, you get less power. So you want to get into the habit of being able to breathe every single time you throw a punch with a little exhale. Then 2 punches, 2 exhales. Then 3 punches, 3 exhales. Get in the habit of exhaling every time you throw that punch. And this is going to help you stay relaxed, which when you are relaxed, you're going to get more speed. And as well, you're not going to get tired as fast. So this is key for anyone when you're hitting the bag. So right there, you've seen I was throwing some jabs and then across. Now, I'm not going to talk about how to throw these correctly with the right technique. I've done tons of videos on how to turn into punches and throw punches with the good technique. On here, it's all about hitting the heavy bag and what I see beginners doing and the right way to hit it. Now, watch what happens when I hit the bag with a nice 1-2. What's happened to it? It's swinging, right? Now, when it's swinging, there's a couple of things that you need to think of. My range has got to change. I was standing here, but now the bag is out of range when it swings up. If it comes close to me, now it's too close to me, I'm in range. So I've got to find the range with my feet to hit the bag perfectly. And when I get to the footwork section, I'm going to talk more about this and give you some great drills that you can do with the swinging heavy bag. But first, I just want to talk about how to control the heavy bag. Because what people do, they think, oh yes, I hit the heavy bag and it's swinging. And then they start hitting the heavy bag like this. Now it swings even more. Then they'll hit it again like this. And it swings even more. Now what's happened is this bag is out of control. It's hard for me to control it, especially with the weight of this big guy right here. What you've got to do, rather than hitting the heavy bag when it comes up to you like this, so it swings even more, because this is how I know a novice boxer is a novice boxer, when they're letting it swing like this. Instead, what you've got to do, you've got to hit the heavy bag when it's coming back to you. So I'm here, I'm going to throw that 1-2. You see it's swinging now. When the bag's on its way back to me, like now, I throw 1-2. Look, it stopped it in its tracks there. Now I'm taking control of the bag rather than letting the bag take control of me. And that was just with a simple punch as it's coming to me. It stops in its tracks. It's always going to be swinging, but it's going to be in my control. And when you get used to doing this, it's going to be an absolute game changer when you're hitting the bag. Now, before we talk about footwork, I want to talk about one more key thing about basic heavy bag stuff. Now, I mentioned this earlier on, is the bag obviously is not going to hit us back. So that's why a lot of people get into bad habits by dropping this hand. If someone was hitting your back and you were throwing a jab at them, you're not going to throw a jab like this, are you? Because they're going to hit your back, they're going to smash you in the face. So visualize that this bag is going to be hitting your back and throwing punches at you. Obviously it's not, but if you're here and I think, oh, if I drop this hand, I'm going to get hit with a left hook. Or if I drop my jab hand, I'm going to get hit with an overhand, right? If I think about that, I'm going to develop good defensive habits by hitting the bag. And as well with the defensive habits, what you can do is work on different defenses. So for example, if I throw a 1-2 and the person in front of me is throwing a hook at my head, I'm going to roll out of the way of that hook. So I'm going to throw a 1-2 and I'm going to do a roll, rolling under that left hook that will be coming straight for my head. So I can practice this on the heavy bag. So it'll be a 1-2, roll, 1-2, roll. Getting used to working on these defensive habits. And you can go through every single defense in boxing. You've got the parry, the slip, slip. You've got the block. You've got the step back. You've got the lean back. You've got the the rest of them anyway. I don't think off the top of my head. But yeah, we've got a lot of different defenses. The parry, right? Yeah, you've got lots of different defenses. You can work on all of them when you're hitting the heavy bag. It's going to develop great defensive habits. Now, before we get on to the footwork stuff, I want to talk about the hook, because this is a hard punch to throw on a heavy bag. You see, when we learn how to throw the hook, we throw a nice 1-2, and then we throw the hook here. But if we did that on a heavy bag, throw that nice 1-2, I'm going to be out of range to land that hook on the bag. So what we've got to do to land a great, solid, clean hook on the bag, we've got to shorten our cross. So we do that by thinking about bringing our shoulder forward with that punch when we throw it. So it'll be a 1-2. You see, I've brought my shoulder forward. I've put the weight on my front foot. The back heel's off the ground. Now I'm in range to really whip in that hook. So think about this when you're throwing the 1-2 hook or the 2 hook on the heavy bag. So again, I'm here, put myself in range by throwing that short right hand. Now, that being said, when you're throwing a 1-2 on its own, you want to fully extend that right hand. I always remember there was this old-timer boxing coach. He was about 90 years old, and he seen me on the heavy bag, and I was like this. And I'm throwing me punches like that. I don't think he said, Tony, I don't think you know the importance of fully extending your arm when you throw the punch. He said, when you do it, it is way, way, way stronger. And I was like, okay. And he went, here's an example. If I give you a pencil and tell you to snap that pencil, how would you snap it? I was like, this? Easy. He went, okay. Yeah, because you're bending it. Just think about the bend in your arm. He said, now, if I give you a pencil and said, I want you to snap that pencil by putting your hand either side of it and pushing, trying to snap that straight pencil, could you do it? And I was like, no, impossible. He said, because the pencil is way stronger when it's straight. Now, this is the same with your punches. This is the same with your arms. If you fully extend your punch, it's going to be way stronger than you not fully extending that punch. And that really stuck with me for a long time, and hopefully it'll stick with you the next time you're throwing them straight punches. Now let's talk about the next thing that a lot of people neglect when they're on the heavy bag or when they're boxing these days. I see this all the time on social media, especially with mitt work. They'll be there and they'll be throwing these million punch combinations with all of the slips and the rolls and all that Floyd Mayweather BS. And you're forgetting about the most important thing in boxing, which is your feet. And people tend to do this on the heavy bag as well. They'll be standing in one space all the time for the full round, just blasting here, not working on your feet. But why? This is a game changer for anyone who wants to get better at boxing. Working on footwork, you can do this great on the bag. And I'm going to show you some drills with this bag swinging. But first I want to talk about the right way of using your feet when you're on the bag, and the wrong way as well. So when you're moving to your left, you always want to move your left foot first. When you're moving to your right, you always want to move your right foot first. This has always put me in the position to throw the punches. If I move to my left and I move my right foot first, now I'm off balance and I can't throw punches. Same if I move to my right with my left foot first, I'm crossing my feet here. And I don't want to be boxing like this, do I? You don't want to be boxing like that anyway. Always moving in the right direction. And when you are landing, you always want to land on the balls of your feet. If you land on the ball of your foot, this is only going to help you move even smoother when you are moving around and helping keep you in them positions to throw the punches. Now, one of the most common mistakes I see on a heavy bag is this. See what I'm doing there? Bringing the feet together. Happens all the time. I remember when I started boxing, I would see everyone in my gym in Sunderland ABC doing this and they're bringing the feet together. I actually thought that's what you had to do because everyone was doing it. The coaches weren't telling us, keep your feet apart. Again, it's because we're on the bag and it's not hitting us back. But if you're doing this, you're developing bad habits. Instead, when you're moving back, look how much better this looks. Because I'm always in a position. And I'm not using any more energy than I am from doing this, but for some reason, people are getting into these habits like this. Instead, looks better, right? Looks a lot better. And I can whip in them punches when I come back in because I can move in faster because my feet's not together. Now, a couple of drills that you can do with a swinging heavy bag. So I'm going to swing it. And here, I'm going to be moving my feet in and out. Keeping that range. You know the range that I told you about at the beginning? Now I've got that range all the time. So I'm always in a position to throw the punches whenever I want. Great for footwork, great for moving. So now what we can do is a drill where we're going to get used to moving and punching at the same time. To move and punch, you've got to make sure that your foot and your hand is landing at the same time. So if I'm stepping forward with a 1-2, you see my feet land the same time as the punches. One more time. And that's what we're going to do with the swinging heavy bag. So I'm going to be here, I'm going to be getting that range, step, step, and moving back. Step, step, moving back. Remember what I said about being in the gym and having the heavy bag swinging everywhere? You know, you should never do that. What I've just showed you, if you've got a gym full of people, you know, you're going to look like a bit of a dick. And you don't want to look like a bit of a dick. I don't want you to see the people.
Well, I seen that Tony Jeffries on YouTube, and he was doing this, so I'm going to do this. Because you're going to make me look like a dick, and we don't want to look like dick, do we?
So do it when the gym is empty, but get used to moving and punching. Now, once you've done it going forwards, you can do it going forwards and backwards. So I'm going to swing the bag in the empty gym. Remember that empty gym? Now I'm here. Now I'm punching. I'm moving at the same time. With the 1-2s and the jabs, you can throw the jabs only. Double jab, triple jab, as many as you want. Great little drill that you can do, and it's also going to help increase your heart rate, even more so than standing there working on these punches. When you're moving your feet as well, you're going to increase your heart rate and burn more calories as well. Now, before I talk about the advanced punches and combos, I want to talk about some advanced things that you can do with your feet. Now, the first one is working on feints. A feint is when you pretend to do something and you do something else, or you don't do anything at all. So we can feint with our feet on the bag, and it'll look like this without the bag. So I'm here, I'm in front. You see what I did? I pretended that I was stepping and throwing a punch, and I didn't throw the punch. I'm here. Now you can do this on the bag. Again, this is advanced. So, you know, if you're still struggling with moving around the heavy bag, you don't have to do this yet. I just wanted to add it to this video. Now, when I'm on the heavy bag and I'm moving around, and I do a feint, see? It makes me look even more better, like I know what I'm doing. So I'm feint, then throw the punches. I'm here feinting. My feet's always working. Feint, throwing them punches. Now we're going to talk about the advanced punches and combinations that you can do when you're on the heavy bag, before we get into the nice stuff that I love the most, which is working inside. Now, some people don't like the heavy bags because you can't throw uppercuts on a heavy bag, but actually you can. There's two ways of being able to do it. I'm going to show you both ways. And then also I want to work on something that is very advanced, which is a pivot hook on the heavy bag. And then we'll get into the advanced combinations. So an uppercut. If I'm standing in front of you, this is a rear uppercut. I'm throwing that punch and turning it, and it's coming up through the middle. If you see this from the side, it's coming from my face. I'm throwing it, it's coming up. And the goal with this, if it was in a fight, would be to go, you know, through your opponent's guard right there. So because the heavy bag hasn't got a target like this for me to hit, like a water ball has got, you think that you can't throw them, but you can. You can throw them two ways. The first way is throw the uppercut the same way, but rather than coming straight up the middle like this, we can just throw this punch forward like this. And it'll look like here. That's an uppercut there. Again. Yes, we're not coming up and through, but we still throwing that punch just about exactly the same, apart from we going forward, which actually is a punch as well in boxing. The only time you want to really go directly up is if you're inside and you're close, and it will go up there. Other than that, throwing your punch out, your uppercut out like this, is the way to do it. And that's what we're doing there. Talking about the second way of throwing the uppercut, which is a short range uppercut. If you're inside here, like a little Mike Tyson when he was inside and he would blast up that rear uppercut. We can throw it, but we don't even have to hit the heavy bag. So I'm inside, I can throw it, and then come back with my next punch, which is going to be a hook. And it looks like this. So I'm here, still getting used to throwing it, going through the motions, the right technique, then whipping in that punch after. So that's a method there if you want to try the close range uppercut. Now the next punch is a pivot hook. Love this punch. I've done a full video on the pivot hook. You should watch this after. But really the pivot hook is I'm going to whip my back foot around, change the angles, but I'm going to put my lead hand on the front of it to make it into a pivot hook like this. And I'm going to show you on the bag doing it static, and then I'm going to show you the more advanced way of doing it with the moving bag. So I'm here, static. What I'm going to do, I'm going to step with my front foot to create a little bit of space, and then I'm going to whip my back foot around with my lead hand on the end of it like that. So I'm here, pivot hook, and that's a pretty hard punch. One more time, I'm going to step and throw it. As the punch lands, the back foot lands on the ground. Here it is here. Now, the more advanced way of doing it, the way that I love to do it on the bag. If that bag is swinging, like this, not in the full gym, remember, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be moving forward, moving back, moving forward, moving back. When the timing's right, I'm going to do that little step and then throw the pivot hook and change my full angle. So I'm here, I'm going to be moving forward, here, step, whipping in that hook. Now look at this, I'm in a completely different position where if this was a fight, I could blast forward and, throw them punches and break them down and punch them all over the ring. So now talking about advanced combinations, I'll show you a couple of small ones, then I'll get more longer with these combos. The first one, let's just put them 2 punches together, right? The uppercut and the pivot hook. Very advanced combination. But I'm going to throw the uppercut where I land it, and then from there, I'm going to whip in that pivot hook. What I'm going to do differently this time, as I step with my front foot, I'm going to throw that back uppercut there. The punch and the foot lands at the same time. This is going to put me in the perfect position for that boom, boom, that pivot hook. Here it is here on the bag. I'm going to be in close. I'll start off static. I'm here, step, pivot hook. A little bit faster, a little bit more real here. So I'm here. Oh, beautiful combination. Now we've got that one figured out, we can start talking about other ones. I didn't even have that one planned to put in there, but I just wanted to add it in. So, some more advanced combinations, some longer combinations. What I love to do on the bag is throw the punches, use me feet for defense by changing angles and come back with other punches. So, advanced combo here, I'm going to start for the 1-2. I'm going to sidestep, change that angle. I'm going to come back with a 2. Then I'm going to throw a couple of hooks to the body. Love this combo. That's an advanced one there. I can show you 100 different advanced combinations, but I'm not going to. I'll show you a couple more. But what I want you to do is think about combinations when you're on the heavy bag, but make sure that they are realistic. Again, I'm going to pick on these people on social media. You probably know who they are, who's doing all of the terrible mitt work stuff. These combinations and this mitt work is not realistic. What I've just done there is realistic. This would work in a ring. Again, even if you're not planning on fighting, it's always good to do the realistic stuff, right? What I did, I threw a 1-2. He's counter-punching with his jab on me. I've sidestepped. His jabs went across there. I've come back with the right hand to the head, then 2 hooks to the body. A realistic combo. When you're building your own combinations, make sure that they are realistic. Make sure that you're thinking of every step of this combination makes sense. So another example is I'm going to throw a jab to the head, then a right hand to the body. If I throw a jab to the head and right hand to the body, what is the person going to do in front of me? Well, the chances are he's going to drop his hands and they're going to come down and cover his body. Well, that's going to leave him open for the left hook. So it's going to be a jab, cross, hook. Again here. Now, when I'm doing this combination, I've got to close the distance with the hook, like we've already spoke about earlier on. So I throw the jab, the right hand, bringing my shoulder forward, coming closer to the bag so I can land that hook. Ba, ba, ba. Now from there, let's add on to this combination. Let's make this a really long advanced combination. Jab the head, right hand the body, hook to the head. His hands have come up. They've went down. Now I've hit him with a hook to the head. They've come up. From there, because I love this next double punch, I'm going to throw 2 hooks to the body. So it's going to be a ba, ba, ba. Slip inside, double hook to the body. Ba, ba, ba. Slip inside, double hook to the body. Again, I'm making this up as I go along. That's a long combination. Now what can I throw after that double hook to the body? Well, if they think that arms have come down here, I could go back upstairs, but let's stay downstairs with a rear hook to the body. So I went, bah, bah. I'm going to whip in that rear hook to the body. Let's add that one on. So it's a jab, right hand, left hook, double hook to the body, whipping that one right hand in there, the body. Then I'm going to come up with a hook to the head as well. Another hook. That's lovely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hooks in a row. So again, I'm here, bah, 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 bah. Now from there, I'll throw that hook. I've put the weight on my back foot. Oh, mate. Straight down the pipe with the right hand. Building up even more. So we've got the... Oh, how many is that? Let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 8-punch combination. Let's add a little sidestep on this, shall we? Little sidestep. Then we're going to come out with a 2 hook 2. Let's turn this 8 punches into 11 punches. So we're there. Bah, bah, bah. Bah, 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 bah. Sidestep. Bah, bah, bah. Oh, mate, look at that. Now what we can do a roll with a 2, a step back, stepping back in with a 2, 1, 2, to follow up with a double jab, slip, 2, hook 2, roll, step back. We could, but I'm not fit enough to do all of that. I just want to show you how to build on realistic combinations. You can build your own combinations. Just think about the next step and does it make sense when you're on the bag for this to happen. There's thousands of real combinations. Just make sure you're keeping them real every single time you're hitting the bag. But how do you know if what you're doing is correct because you might not have a coach. You might have a coach and the coach is one of these guys who's on his phone all the time. My worst type of coaches, can't stand them coaches. Or you might have a coach who's really good, but he's in a gym and there's like 10, 20, 30 people and there's that many people, he can only give you 10 seconds or 20 seconds of advice during each round, which would probably be good advice. And you want to try and stick to that, but also we need more than this. Maybe you've done this before. This is what I used to do when a coach would come up to me and I'm hitting the heavy bag. I see him at the corner of my eye coming to us. I would start really trying harder and trying to impress and trying to do my best when he was there. This is good, you know, if coaches motivate you, but at the same time, it's bad because you're going to be giving it your all and trying your hardest when the coach is watching, and your all and your hardest might be good enough for him not to give you any feedback. But it's the times when your coach is not watching you. That's when you've got to be really working on this stuff and be focused on this stuff. But again, you might be like,
well, what the hell is this stuff? I don't know how to throw a correct hook. I don't know how to throw a correct, nice 1-2 down the middle.
well, there is methods of boxing training that you can do online that can really help you and help all of this stuff stick into your brain with or without a coach. And I created a course called Master Boxing. This has got over 120 in-depth videos on, but not only do you watch all of the videos to learn about the correct techniques and correct form, you can also answer questions on these as well. Now, there's scientific research out there that says if you answer questions on a video that you are watching, it's got something like 3 to 5 times more chance of sticking into your brain and you learning it. Now, I might want to play a little game with you and ask you a question to see if you can remember it from earlier on in the video. And I guarantee you that you'll never forget this ever again because I'm giving you a question on it. Now, my question is, what is a great analogy that you can use to help you throw straight punches rather than bent arm punches? Is it you get more range on your punch? Is it you can't stab a pencil from putting either hand on either side? Is it because Tony Jeffries said so? Or is it because your arm is stronger? Which analogy is better? Have a little think about it. Yes, you got it right. The analogy with the pencil. Now, you will never forget that analogy ever again because you've just answered a question on it. And it's the same with the stuff on Master Boxing. This stuff will stick in your head forever. Maybe that was a bad analogy, a bad question, but anyway, you get what I'm talking about. Now, to get the details, you can use your phone and scan here or go to TonyJeffries.com and check out Master Boxing. I put so much into this course to help you get better at boxing. And on there as well, I've got different workouts and things that you can do. And I'm going to give you a great workout that you can do on this video in a minute. But first, I just want to talk about how to work inside on the heavy bag, because this is my favorite thing to do for a number of reasons. One, it's realistic, and every single fight you would ever get into in a boxing match always ends up close inside, so you know exactly what to do because you've been working on this good stuff here. And another thing is the combinations that you can build from being inside and throwing these great punches is endless as well. I love the combinations of working inside. So how to do this? Well, before I talk about being inside and throwing these punches, I want to talk about how to get inside of the bag, because a lot of people will forget about this and really not think about the realistic scenario of getting your feet inside to throw the punches. It'll just probably be like this: walk under the bag and then throwing the punches. See what I did there? Walked. Shouldn't be doing this. Instead, I want to be out of range. I want to throw a feint, get my feet inside. Now I'm inside. Now I can throw the punches. A couple of things when you are working inside in the heavy bag. You want to have loose knees here. You might have heard coaches in the past say have bent knees, but you don't want to be bending like this with your butt sticking out like this. No, it's not good. Instead, you want to have these loose knees here. That's going to help you, give you a great base on your feet and have that great balance to be able to really whip in them punches. And obviously you want to be up close to the bag here. Now, you can still throw straight punches from here, even though they're really short. And this was what I used to love to do when I was in fights. I would throw little tapping shots up here to get the person's hands to come up and then whip in the body shots there. But you can still do this. So I'm inside, I can touch up here, I can throw the hooks around the side and whipping down the body like that. But the way you get better at this is by practicing it. Now, I've got tons of drills on my Master Boxing course, but one of them that you can do, I'll give you it right now, is where you're going to get a resistance band and you're going to put it around your body. Now, when you're doing this is keeping you close to the bag at all times. And it's uncomfortable when you've got this band around your body, but we want to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And when you're up close like this, you've got to be able to learn how to turn your hips and really whip in these punches. So I'm up close like this. If I had the band around us, this can't move. So I've got to get comfortable from here, throwing like powerful short arm punches. And when you do that drill with the bag, which I recommend you do, you get comfortable doing that. Now, another thing to think about when you're working inside is also stepping around the bag. So I could throw like a 1-2, hook the body, step around, throw more punches there. And this way I could throw 1-2, stepping around, and throw punches. You don't have to stand still and just keep throwing punches over and over again in the same spot. No, we want to get used to moving around the bag as well. And this is only going to help your inside game get even better. Now, one last thing I want to talk about before I give you the workout that you can do on the heavy bag is just because you're working inside doesn't mean it's got to be body punches all the time. You should be going from body to head to body, or coming inside, going from head to body. Body to head, head, body, body, head, and keep mixing up all the time. But it's important that when you do this, you bring your hands back to your face. Often people will be throwing combinations. See where my hands are? See what's wide open here? My chin. You never want to have your chin wide open. Instead, keep your chin down. I'm here, I've got that bend in my knees. See, I'm bringing my hands straight back to my face. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, talking about your non-punching hand should be up by your face all the time, and that's what you want to be doing when you're working inside. Okay, now it's time for a heavy bag workout that you can do. Oh, see, I told you, no wraps. Even got my wedding ring on. How stupid. Anyway, here's a heavy bag workout. I've got it written down here. I'm going to tell you, you should write this down and you should try it. Now, this heavy bag workout is for stamina, helping you build your stamina. It's going to be 6 3-minute rounds with a 45-second rest. Now, depending on what you would normally do on a heavy bag, this could sound absolutely insanely hard for you if you're doing 2-minute rounds with a 1-minute rest right now. Or if you're a beast and you're doing 3-minute rounds with a 30-second rest right now, this might not sound that hard for you, but let me tell you, my friend, it's good for everyone. So we got the 6 3-minute rounds with 45-second rest. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do in each one of the rounds. Round number 1, all you're going to work on is 2 things: straight punches and moving your feet. Moving your feet around the bag. Obviously, you want to be working on good form, good technique, breathing, staying relaxed, all that good stuff that we spoke about at the beginning. I'm not going to talk about that on every single one of these rounds, but you should be doing that. You know that, right? Then after 2.5 minutes of doing that, our last 30 seconds, what we're going to do, we're going to just be working on power punches. I'll get these gloves again to show you. Now, this is going to be for the last 30 seconds of round number 1. And we're not going to do non-stop power punches where it's going to be like, no, we're going to be here. That's an example right there. Every punch there was hard. Oh, at least I think so. And that's what we're going to be working on for that last 30 seconds. Now, going on to round number 2. Oh, I'm going to need my gloves again, huh? We're going to work on defense. That doesn't mean we throw no punches. What I want you to do is, after every punch or combination, I want you to think about defense. So if you throw a jab, defend. 1-2 hook, defend. Moving your feet around the bag at all times. And then for the last 30 seconds, what we're going to do, we're going to be doing non-stop punches, but now, just light. So I'm light here, see I'm talking. So breathing, staying relaxed. This is going to help you with your stamina in your shoulders. Then let's move on to round number 3. What we're going to work on, we're going to mix round number 1 and number 2 together, but we're going to add on something as well. We're going to be doing straight punches only. Then we're going to work on a defense. Then, my friend, we're going to work on a counter punch. A counter punch is when you've defended a punch, you come straight back with a punch of your own. So it might be a 1-2, I've slipped, I've come back over a 2. It might be a 1-1-2 to the body, straight punches. I've stepped back, I'm coming back in with 2 punches for a counter. And then when we get to the end, for the last 30 seconds, all we're going to work on is a 1-2, step, 2-1, step. 1-2, step, 2-1, step. Breathing all the time. I want you to go maximum effort, but at the same time, I want you to focus on good form and technique. I don't want you where it's just like, my form's went out the window. No, it's got to be good form. Every single time. Round number 4, every combination or punch, I want you to finish off with a hook, a lead hook. So if you throw 1-2, you're going to finish with a hook. If you throw a jab, I want you to finish with a hook. Might be advanced, you might have to throw a jab, slip, hook if you're doing that one. If you throw a jab, cross the body, we finish with a hook. Every combination finishes with a hook. And then on the last 30 seconds of this round, we're going to go back to the non-stop punching. Nice and light. Non-stop, fast, but light. Okay, now moving on to round number 5. This is probably my favorite one. We're going to work on freestyle, but we're focusing on our feet. So freestyle punches, anything you want with the punches, but we're working on good footwork all the time. Remember what I said about never crossing your feet or bringing your feet together? I want that for the full round number 5. Great footwork, freestyle with the punches and the defense. Then for the last 30 seconds, we're going to be working on speed. Before I said light, like this, now we're going absolutely everything you've got working on speed for that last 30 seconds. Now let's talk about round number 6, the final round. We're going to work on 4 punch combinations, but here's the thing. I want a different combination every single time. Now, this is going to make your brain work overtime because you're going to be thinking, did I do that combination yet? Have I done that one? Different combination every single time. Now, you might think,
Well, there's not that many.
yeah, mate, there is. There's thousands of 4-punch combination variations. Now, my friend, at the end of the round, what I want for the last 30 seconds is everything. Now, I'm not talking about everything we've worked on this video where we're working on pivot hooks and we're working on the uppercut inside. No, mate. I want everything you've got inside of here, out on the heavy bag. You're going to give it your all. This is your sprint. This is going to take you to the next bloody level, mate. But there's some things that you can do to really help you with your stamina so you can get through this and give it your all every single time. And I created this full video here giving you some stamina tips and tricks for boxing. Click here and watch this video next.